Léimhart le Rory Radio Rírá.
Radio Rírá.
Díomh is mis Rory agus fáilte go Léimhart. An bodcréile seo dheoidh tú na PC éasfar an glóir Léimhart Radio Rírá, chumá le rudí spéisiúla nach bhuithí tú áit be eile. Éiste seachlum Léimhart Radio Rírá, agus cuine súil an bodcréile de agalah, cluichí agus play.
Radio Rírá.
Longitude 2019 has just ended and it was a great weekend. Unfortunately, I was working there on the bar and I didn't get to experience everything, so I brought in Dylan and Conor to discuss it all. We went chronologically from the first act announcements through to the 3 days of the experience of the festival there, and then now looking back at this year's festival and looking forward into the future. Unfortunately, while we were recording, we faced a number of technical issues, and then I had some issues in post. That means all we have left is the review looking back at this year's festival and looking forward into the future. But that ended up being the best part of the recording, and it makes for a great episode, even if I say so myself. So it's going to pick up now from the tail end of us talking about the 3 days of the festival and the sheer level of PDA that we saw. You're welcome.
There was even a security guard at Little Sims like before the gig started.
And yeah, so there was a couple who were on the far side of the tent. They were sitting on top of each other looking like they were doing a little bit more than shifting, and the security guard saw that, hopped over the barrier into the crowd and came over. Thank God this wasn't during the set, it was before, but he went over and your man, he gave him like a bit of a kick in the leg and then was like, here, get off each other, like get out pretty much. And then we were all watching, like everyone had turned around to see this, because I think a lot of us who were above the age of 16 were a bit sick of all the PDA.
Yeah,
like we were all
12
cheering.
of us.
All 12 of us at the whole festival above the age of 16.
Above the age of 16. Yeah, no. But like, oh man, like it was terrible. Like, the funniest one that I can think of is like, there was a set of Huns and young fellas beside us at Amine who ended up amalgamating and then ended up, enacting nature beside us in the
I
middle
like
of
how you're
Amine.
wording it.
Yeah. Nature took its course, and a couple of Huns, a couple of young fellas got together beside us, and they were really obnoxious about it as well, like jumping up into their arms and stuff, and like just fully going at it. And we stood far enough back during Amine because we didn't want to get involved in any of the moshes or anything like that, but we found that we couldn't avoid it basically because that tent was absolutely packed out. So at one point a mosh pit opened up around us and we moved back, and the young fellas and young ones that were shifting didn't see this happening. So the mosh pit opened up around them and they were in the middle of it, so when the beat dropped it all smashed together into the young one and young fella shifting, and it was hilarious. It was so good, and I wish that happened every single time.
There was one couple I was impressed with. So for pretty much the entirety of, I think it was Slothai's set, they were in the corner at the front part of the bar. They didn't come up for air during like the entire set, where mosh pits were going around. The music was so like loud and hyped, and they were just in the corner like shifting the entire time. I think they came up for air, I saw like once for a couple of seconds. So I'm kind of just impressed with that.
That is longevity.
Yeah.
That's
really
stamina.
Especially when like they had people fucking jostling them every 2 seconds, people being pulled over the barrier beside them because they couldn't handle the thing, and they were just in their own world.
Yeah, we saw in front of the bar there was, I think, a group of 3 girls and 2 guys. So that created 2 pairs and 1 girl on her own. One couple pulled apart for about 10 seconds, and the other girl literally like elbows her mate out and gets stuck in.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on.
Fair play.
And the ice cream truck in front of us, let's just say, it had some stuff going up against it.
Yeah, oh man, the ice cream truck, Chloe was saying, my girlfriend was saying that at one point she was walking back from the bathrooms and she just happened to glance at the back of it, and
we may be talking about the same people.
Yeah, maybe, and they were sitting on the ground behind the ice cream truck. There was a girl on top of a guy and a girl on top of another guy, and at one point the 2 girls pull out, and the girl on the left started giving the girl on the right instructions as to what to do with the whole situation, which was horrible. It was just disgusting. So horny 16-year-olds is one downside of Longitude, I think, that you just have to accept that you're gonna face.
Yeah, it's an undeniable truth for sure.
Yeah.
So after all of this experience between lineups, between cancellations, between moshes, between shifts. Don't know what else to even comment on. What was your peak and bleak?
Peak and bleak. Oh man, I had a lot of peaks. Like just I'd say my absolute peak for me might have been when we went to see Brockhampton, and at one point Dom, who is, you know, if you're a big fan of Brockhampton, you know Dom is one of the greatest things about Brockhampton. He is just a genius, a lyrical genius, and he has an amazing stage presence as well. Jumped down into the middle of the runway barrier thing up towards the main tower, and ran along that, and at one point was literally like in my face with the microphone as he ran past screaming, and that was like I could die happy from that point onwards. Like, it was just incredible. Like, even at the Helix, like, I didn't get that close to any of them. Yeah. It was insane. Like, it really was. Your peak?
Peak, Stormzy, like, simple as, that was probably the greatest experience of my life, just that concert. And, like, I was nearly going to leave early to head somewhere else, and then Dylan and I were like, no, stay till the end. Yeah. So yeah,
he was actually one of the two lads in our group who was saying that they were going to leave early before Stormzy, which I was not going to let
Conor,
happen.
you can get out of the studio. Yeah. Get
out. I had prior commitments.
Yeah.
Your commitment is Stormzy.
Yeah.
When Stormzy gives you that commitment, you take that commitment and wear it like a wedding ring.
I stayed. I fucking bopped the entire. Sorry for the swearing. I bopped the entire time.
Yeah.
I bossy bopped.
I think I shook the bar tent down with all the jumping. It was amazing.
Yeah. My bleak was 100% on the Saturday. Not expecting the weather that was there. Already feeling a bit sick, and then feeling even worse after standing for an hour and a half in the cold for Nilo, and having to go home for 4 hours during the day, which, when you think about it, Marley Park is in Rathfarnham. I live in Glasnevin.
Yeah.
That's a 2-hour commute each way. So I went home, spent a 4-hour journey. In fairness, I felt a good bit better coming back, but I was quite sick for the entire weekend, which is like, if I could go back and change one thing, I would hope to be in better condition going. But, you know, it worked out. I got him to stay for Stormzy after coming back, you know what I mean? It was a productive day. I only really missed, and this is how I justified it to myself, was that, like, the two acts that I was supposed to go see in that 4-hour block, one was Leisha, who is Irish and in herself is probably going to play Dublin again very soon.
She just announced a London date today.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
Class. Shout out to Leisha.
Yeah, she's phenomenal, and as well, my one mate that was at it said that she had a lot of technical difficulties that weren't her fault. So she probably wasn't too happy with how it went anyway, which I was fine with. And the other one was Denzel Curry, who was a big fan of playing in Dublin. He really likes it. He's playing here now again at the end of the year.
He's going to be in DCU.
He's going to be in the Helix. He's going to be over there while we're here as well, which is funny. But he's a big fan of playing in Dublin, so I have no doubt that I'll get to go see him again at some point. So that's how I justified going home for 4 hours. I came back, went straight to Little Sims, I think it was. Or
Little Sims was
Sunday.
Sunday.
It was sorry. Went straight to Amine, I think, and then onto Stormzy, which was in itself really worth it for me. But yeah, that was my bleak, feeling not well and going home on the Saturday, I think.
Conor?
My bleak was just Sunday, because the extra class, but like, I had been in a bad way because after Saturday night I got 0 hours sleep, had to walk like halfway home from Finglas before literally having to get changed, have food, and head right back into Longitude, feeling like absolute trash. Like, Slow Thigh, one of the biggest like sets in terms of like hype and stuff, the music was unreal. I was standing there and I was falling asleep every couple of seconds because I was just that exhausted. I was in such a bad way. You know, I ended up having to leave early on Sunday, and it was just a bad day for me.
And you guys were there early.
Yeah, we were.
Well.
We made
We were there
sure
from the start.
we got there for the first act every day, because it was very important for me to see the first act. It was all the first acts every single day were all Irish acts. So it was very important that I was there. Because, you know, when you are communicating with Irish acts on a regular basis, they kind of appreciate it if you showed up to their gigs.
They do.
JLOL blew it out of the park. Just shout out to him real quick. He doubled what he did last year at Longitude, and it was a really, really proud moment for me to see the crowd as interested in him as they were. Nilo absolutely smashed it as well, so proud of that man. It's the biggest gig he's done to date, and I know that next year he's just going to get a bigger slot even again. And Y-Axis was the only Irish act on the main stage this year, and he did us all incredibly, incredibly proud. You had people coming in, very, very early. The people who were getting there for acts that they wanted to see later in the day were drawn to Y-Axis because of his stage presence, because of the energy that he built on stage, and he got people so hyped for the rest of the Sunday, and probably contributed to what was for me the best day. Kicking it off with Y-Axis on that Sunday definitely helped me have the best day out of the three on that Sunday as well.
Yeah, it was good. I'm going to give a quick shout out as well to Erica Cody.
Yeah.
Also, whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on, go back one episode and listen to that right now.
Yeah.
Blew it out of the park
Erica,
on Live Your Music stage with Tara Stewart. Shout out to Tara Stewart as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant DJ. And I'd say the Bleak was probably one guy at the barrier there who was getting the shift.
Yeah.
While she was on stage, she gave him a little bit of attention, and then he kept demanding he kiss her on the cheek, and she was getting pissed off.
Yeah.
And as you both probably saw, it's such a small stage. It's hard to ignore or to nonchalantly ignore someone who's trying to get your attention.
Yeah. That stage was fantastic for Irish acts as well.
Yeah, it really was.
Want to give a quick shout out to my boy Marcus Woods as well, who did a DJ set with Sicko, and that was incredible. Like really, just we were only there for a short while, but like the energy in that stage was just like
it was a good spot to be
unmatched.
Yeah.
It really was, because they ID'd people before you got in as well.
Yeah, it filtered a lot of the crowd out.
It did. It 100% did. So we got in and it was great. It really, really was.
Marty Guilfoyle had a good set as well.
Marty Guilfoyle as well, our man. Shout out all the Irish acts. Kneecap,
Floyo.
Kojak. Floyo's not Irish.
Is she not?
No,
I
she's
thought she
from
was.
UK. But
Versatile.
Versatile as
Getting
well.
an entire park to just shout, "Oh, bollocks," was unreal.
Kojak as well, even though we were disappointed by him, still put on a great show.
The stage presence was good.
You still have his chicken filler roll.
We still have a
sticker up
tribute to him up in the corner there of the room,
and he's on the same wall. Can we just mention he's on the same wall as the Cars 2 DVD?
He is. One thing that I do want to talk about in reference to those Irish acts is how disappointed I was with the lack of Irish representation this year. And I'm sure you felt the same as well, in that last year for me, one of the best parts was seeing those Irish acts. In fact, like when I started working for Pulse, the first thing that I did for them was write an article called 8 Irish Hip Hop Acts to See at Longitude 2018. This year I couldn't even pick out 8. Like there wasn't 8 acts on one of the big stages at a set time before I went to the festival. Like there was maybe at most 4 or 5 that I can think of off the top of my head. It was Kneecap, Versatile, Kojak, JLOL and Nilo, Y-Axis as well. So 6 acts, and that's just simply not enough. If anything, there should have been double of what there was last year. I should have been able to write an article called 16 Irish acts to see at Longitude.
And you should have struggled to get 16.
Yeah, absolutely. I should have, but it didn't turn out that way. So if there's one thing that I want to see improved for next year's Longitude, it would 100% be that there needs to be more Irish representation, because
we have it.
We really, really do. Like last year was a great testament to how far we've come. It was the summer of Irish hip hop, and this year has been the year of Irish hip hop. Next year is going to be even more insane. So 100% more Irish acts next year. Like even just like the simple things, like you booked Kojak, that's great, but you also need to look at booking Mango and Mathman, because those boys know how to rock a festival tent. Like they really, really do. Like you need to look at booking Evans Jr., who released his album there earlier during the year. He has so much that he's been doing for himself and receiving not only acclaim here in Ireland but internationally as well, that he deserves a festival slot set, and 100% if he was to get one, he would absolutely smash it. He really, really would. So more Irish representation, 100%.
You could have had a stage. You could have had 2 separate stages, even one for just Irish hip hop, and then another one purely for the acts at Diffusion Lab.
Yeah,
because they literally have so much coming out of that studio.
And like Jafaris, like this time last year, he was playing
on the main stage.
He played Longitude twice last year. He made his own set, and then he played with Story of Hip Hop, which wasn't even a thing this year as well, which was another way in which we lost out on Irish content. But He played twice last year. He played 0 times this year, even though he released his album only a couple of months ago.
An actual album?
He released an actual album.
And he did a whole Irish tour, packed out the Button Factory.
Yeah,
and all.
Absolutely. And he's not the only one to be doing that as well. And even coming up to the end of the year now, there are 4 or 5 acts off the top of my head who have told me that they're releasing their albums before the end of the year. And the one thing that they should get off the back of these album releases is slots of festivals, 100%. It's the only way to help grow any act here in the country. And yeah, it was just really disappointing for me to see that the priority wasn't given to, you know, Mango and Mathman, but was instead given to someone like Pusha T. You know what I mean?
Red.
Like, yeah, like why did we have to call in Ski Mask? You know what I mean? Like, why did we have to call in an international act when we've got plenty of talent we could have picked from?
Get Tebby Rex on there, like.
Get Tebby Rex on, like push Ray Shremmerd up, put Tebby Rex on. You know, whatever you need to do. We've so much talent here, ready to go, that it just doesn't make sense to me that when the acts that pulled out, we panicked and said, oh, we have to get like X, Y, or Z from the States, or we have to get this person from the UK, when we've so much talent here. Like, we really, really do.
We do. What was the biggest surprise for both of you of the weekend? And that can be good or bad.
I think, like, all right, I'll go with one good and one bad. 2 surprises. So the bad one for me was how shocking the quality was at the Heineken stage. Because just the sound wasn't set up properly for a lot of the acts. Like, there was a load of technical difficulty, there was pushbacks, there was everything. That was shocking for me. Like, it really, really was. It was a big surprise. The good surprise for me was, as someone who isn't particularly a big fan of this person, I was really, really blown away by their set. I really liked Cardi B, man. I really, really did.
Yeah.
I really loved their set. I thought she put on a great show. It was a great way to end the festival. It really, really was. And look, if it came up next year that Cardi B was set to headline again, I would 100% go and see her. I would not be mad about it at all. It was really, really fun. It really was. So those are my 2 surprises.
For me, a bad surprise was Bugsy Malone, who I'd been really looking forward to. He didn't do probably his most iconic song, King of the North, because that's his whole like persona. He didn't perform that, which really disappointed me, whereas he did perform some songs that, one of them was a new one people don't really know that well, like one of them was off an EP where it didn't really feel like a festival song. So I mean, that was a bad surprise, like some of the songs that he played. And then a good surprise was when they announced Stormzy instead of Chance, because again, I don't really like Chance, so
Yeah. Can't even think of a bad surprise, but I'd say a good surprise. I was so blown away by Ray Shremmerd. My God, I did not expect
Them boys
that
have
from
energy,
them.
man.
They do.
Have such energy.
And there's a lot of similar acts to them on the bill that actually gave it nothing.
Yeah.
They just walked from side to side. Their dancers were giving it more. Ray Shremmerd were down in that crowd. They were jumping all over that stage. I'm trying to think.
Going from Ray
so
Shremmerd
much.
to Ski Mask just made my experience of Ski Mask so much worse.
He was not good.
I didn't.
Just say it.
I left during Ski Mask. I didn't enjoy his set in the slightest. It just wasn't for me. And I don't actually mind Ski Mask music. I like a few of his songs, but just for me, he was not the headliner. But yeah, going from Ray Shremmerd and off the back of their incredible set straight into that just made. You know, it's kind of like eating a really bad thing and then eating like eating a really good thing and then eating a really bad thing. You know what I mean? Like it just makes the bad thing so much worse. It just didn't sit right with me at all. Because of how incredible Ray Shremmerd were. They should have been the headliner from the get-go for me, 100%.
We decided to go over to the Heineken stage to where Chasing Abbey were performing. Another Irish band. They nearly could have been pushed up to the main stage and just shut the Heineken stage early, because they actually blew me away. I mean, I thought they were just a bit of fun and all that, and they said, this is our last song, and I didn't recognise it. I thought that's a bit disappointing. So we left, we went off to the Jacks, and we heard That Good Thing start coming, and we just raced back into that tent just to enjoy those 3 minutes. And they were class. But sorry, back to the surprise. I have 2 surprises. One was the Ray Shremmerd, and another one, it might not be as surprising, but especially with how big Dave has gotten since Alex from Glastonbury, the fact that he got AJ up to do Thiago Silva with him on the same stage. That's a good surprise as well. Great.
And like that's another way in which, like, to go back to Ski Mask, like for me being disappointing is like that happens with Dave. They did it really well. It was incredible. Ski Mask brings on JID for a song. JID does his very famous 151 Rum. He was really buzzed about that. JID hops on the mic, he says, we're going to do it for the first time ever because the album has dropped today. Revenge of the Dreamers 3 is out right now. We're going to do a song for the first time ever live together. Me and Ski Mask is the one song that they have together. They're going to do it. Ski Mask jumps on and goes, no, I want to do this one first. You stay here, JID. And then they do a Ski Mask only song. JID is waiting in the background for Costa Rica, the song that they have together, to kick in so he can actually do something. JID is waiting again after Ski Mask finishes that song and moves on to another individual Ski Mask song. And after that, when the song doesn't come on, JID just goes off stage, having provided absolutely nothing to Ski Mask's set.
That
because
is quite
Ski Mask
unprofessional.
won't let
That was
him.
the only like highlight of Ski Mask's thing for me when JID came on, and then I was just like, all right, any time today. And then he did a tribute to XXX Tentacion to start performing loads of his songs, and getting everyone to try and do like a big X.
Yeah,
in
which
the
like,
end.
look, no matter what you feel about X, like, and no matter what your opinion is on him, I'm gonna leave my opinion out of it. It's not what I went to see, you know what I mean? It's not what I wanted to see. Like, I was there for a Ski Mask set, but it ended up just being a tribute to another artist, which is all well and good if you like that artist, but
it
like,
does feel like filler.
it does. It really did feel like filler. It didn't feel like a headline gig, you know what I mean?
It also felt like a cult.
Yeah, it really did at one point feel like a cult as well. We left kind of in the middle of that, I'd say.
Looking towards the future, I'd say particularly next year, because that's what's coming up. What maybe changes would you like to see to the festival? I know we've spoken about how the stages were laid out, how the barriers. Obviously, we talked about all the Irish acts we'd love to see. We didn't even cover half of what we could see, but we can just say, if any Irish artist is listening, thank you for listening to the Lame Heart podcast.
Yeah.
But you're in our hearts. Who else would you like to see on the lineup? Specific acts, probably maybe international ones, and anything in terms of how they organise it.
Well, there's a lot of people calling now. Like, it was the same last year, and it's even more prevalent this year, in that I'm seeing people call for the festival to be over 18s. And I can completely understand why that's the case, and I can see, like, I was just as annoyed and irritated by a bunch of teenagers as anyone else calling for that. But for me, that's not the right thing to do. I think there's absolutely no youth music festivals available in Dublin, particularly, except for like EP happens outside of Dublin, but there's nothing for kids in Dublin to really get behind and, you know, go to and experience. And if their first experience of live music of a festival is at like 19, 20, they're just going to be as sloppy as they were at 16, 15, 16.
And we were all there
once. We all were there once, and I feel like even more than that, like, for those 5 kids that go, get absolutely like punch drunk, end up like knocked out on the ground somewhere, for that one kid that goes and experiences a live act that inspires him to go and create something, like, that's so worth it for me. Like, 100%, that is so worth it for me. I would never take away from that one kid just because of the actions or wrongdoings of a few other ones, you know what I mean? So changing the festival's age limit, age restrictions, whatever you want to call it, that's not for me. Like, it really isn't.
I also don't think they would do that, because the majority of the money they get is from 16. If
It
they
is
raised the
their
age to
market.
18, a lot of people will still look at it as a younger people's festival, and still
they'd have
won't
to
buy
change
tickets.
their whole target and all that in terms of what acts they book.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of what acts I want to see, I've already made it very clear. I want to see Irish acts. Like, I really do. I want to see, I think, where you put together a fantastic lineup on your Twitter for an Irish stage.
Yes.
I want to see that, but multiplied by 10. Like, I really do. I want to be able to.
And I want
you know,
it to be the second biggest stage.
Yeah,
I thought
absolutely.
obviously the main stage goes to the superstars. And obviously some who aren't superstars, but one, it's my festival, and two, it's not real.
Yeah.
But I wanted the second stage to be all Irish.
Yeah.
No one else.
I'm such a bullshitter about this because, like, I don't try half as hard as I probably should. Like, I've got a plastic bottle on my desk right now, but, like, I want to see more efforts made towards sustainability for the festival next year. Even stuff like not selling drinks in plastic bottles and not selling burgers with like 10 fucking things of wrapping around it or whatever it is as well. Like, maybe just a bit more eco-friendly for next year, because I feel like that's the direction that all festivals should be moving towards. One that does that particularly well that I can think of off the top of my head is happening this weekend, Knockenstocking. I think we should be following that model 100%.
Glastonbury did it.
Glastonbury,
If Glastonbury
can
do it.
100%.
In fairness to Longitude, I'm pretty sure I did see on a sign, like, Roy, you'd probably know because you worked at that even though the cups are plastic, they were recyclable.
They were recyclable.
Yeah, so that's at least some kind of step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right
Yeah,
direction.
exactly. So maybe more sustainability. In terms of the acts, like I've said those two things first because I can't think of any individual act that I really want to see, because for me, like, there's just too many. Yeah, I'd love if we had like the ASAP Rocky redemption arc, you know what I mean? Where
What
he
about
comes
the
back.
entire ASAP gang?
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Like, it really would. Like, where they all just come back after Rocky can't do it. I'd say Rocky will do something similar. I don't think he's like just gonna blow off any festival that he has performed in Europe, because he's missed a few now at this point.
Yeah.
When he gets out, whenever that may be, I'd say like he'll do something similar.
Eventually.
I'd love to see 21 Savage. I think that would be incredible, even at the Heineken stage or something like that. I think he's the perfect fit for the festival as well. I would love to see so many more like acts that I've been waiting to see for years. Like, I don't know, I think as much as I don't like him, Logic would be a pretty cool headliner.
If he performed stuff that isn't off his latest album.
Yeah, if he stuck to his old school stuff.
Young Sinatra 4.
Yeah, Young Sinatra 4. I want to see Tyler back again.
Yeah.
Tyler always does a thing where he'll release his music one year and then the next year will be his festival runs.
Yeah.
So he's released his album this year, next year will be his festival runs. I think he could easily take the headline slot, and I think he should. I think he has a right to it.
If he keeps building the buzz as he he'll be there.
I want to see my boy Jaden Smith.
Oh.
He has been killing festival performances. You ask anyone who went and saw him at Coachella, he absolutely murdered it. Like, he really did. He is an incredible artist, and I think even if no one had listened to his music before going to see him at Longitude, if they went and saw him, they would be blown away by his performance, and that would help him be taken a little bit more seriously as an artist, which is all I want for Jaden Smith. That's all I want. But yeah, Irish acts and those boys, and we'll say Stefflon Don for you, Rory.
Yes.
We'll put her on there as well.
I'd say she'd be good on the Heineken stage.
Yeah, 100% she would.
I'd
I
also
think she'd be
say mix it up just a little bit more. I know it's mainly at the moment, it's gone through a few phases in terms of what kind of is the primary genre of the festival. I know it's primarily a hip-hop festival. I'd say mix it up just a tiny bit more, and it's not, I've nothing against rap. I love rap and I love hip-hop. But it got to the stage that, say, Anne-Marie came on the main stage, and to be honest, I'm not mad into Anne-Marie. I'd say the only song of hers that I actively would like is 2002. It was just such a welcome change.
It
she
is.
came on,
Like,
and she gave it loads of energy and all, so it was fun.
And like, even like going to see last year, there were a couple of acts on the Sunday, that like there was one girl, like, I can never remember her name, but it's a really nice name as well. You might know her, but she just came out onto the Heineken stage with an acoustic guitar, and like that was it for the Sunday, and that felt like a beautiful Sunday gig to like cool down. And then like there was SZA on the Sunday, there was Kaliukas on the Sunday. It felt like a very chill day, you know what I mean? Like there was Anderson .Paak as well, which like, yeah, he's got his upbeat high tempo songs, but he loves to just groove, and that's what the Sunday was about last year. It was just a little nice groove to end the weekend with. And like Solange headlining the Sunday as well last year was a great way to cap it as well. But yeah, I agree, mix it up a little bit more, especially throw in the Irish acts that we have that can kind of diversify the genres a little bit more. And that I think that's it.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say for like the main point of what I want to see next year. Like, I think especially if it's like, I know it used to be like, it seemed like a real DJ festival, then it's now moved into hip-hop, and I like that. But as well as that, diversifying can even be diversifying in hip-hop, because there's so many sub-genres within that, and they seem to have really gone on a tangent of modern trap type stuff, which I'm like, okay, they all sound very similar, so have a couple acts like that, but then there's so many other branches. I liked seeing them bring more of a grime element into it with Dave, AJ Tracy. I'd love to see Wiley. That would be someone I would adore to see live. I have loved him for a long time.
I was actually asked recently who would I like to see embrace the scene here in Ireland, like from outside Ireland. It was a question that I asked a couple of guests on the show there a few weeks ago, and they asked me, and I said, I think if the like old school grime heads from the UK saw what was going on over here in Ireland right now, they would have nothing but respect for the artists that we have coming through. And just like, I have this image in my head of like, just like, I don't know, like Jafaris on stage with like Wiley or someone, or like Mango Mathman, like
Mango Mathman with Dizzy Rascal,
someone, Dizzy Rascal,
that's a good one.
that would be insane. Like, so like something like that happening would be pretty cool, I think, as well. And like speaking of old school heads, like I've had this idea in my head for a while of like having like just like the novelty, like one classic hip hop act. Like we had Coolio play here at the Leopardstown Festival a few weeks ago, and like that was strange, but it would be really funny if it happened at Longitude. You know what I mean?
Big Shaq was there last year.
Yeah. Like where
bring Snoop Dogg up on stage.
Yeah, like literally just have like one old school hip hop legend come out for like even one song with an artist or something like that, or have them do a set at like the Elevation stage or something, and then like all the old school heads can go bop there for a while or whatever it is. Like that'd be really cool.
So Longitude, if you're listening, hit Eminem up, get him on that stage, please, fellas.
Longitude, if you're listening, disregard anything that Conor has said and get me to organise your festival for next year, because I will pick an amazing lineup. Thank you.
I have a bill written out already. The only advice I'd give to a listener at home is one, don't drink too much. You are going to learn at some point the wrong way. But also, if you have an idea of someone else, learn the information. Learn the middle name. Learn the date of birth. I know I'm going back to a former complaint. But that would be it. Do you have any tips for a listener at home who's thinking about going next year?
If I know some people who, if there were no artists that they knew performing, they just sit in the grass and chill. They wouldn't go to anything. For me, I think the best part of a festival is discovering a new artist, because there's something so much nicer about seeing them for the first time live than just over Spotify. So if you see someone that you don't know on the lineup and you're not going to anyone else, go discover new music. You could find your next favorite artist at a festival.
Don't close yourself off to any particular genre. Like last year, I'm a big hip hop head, and I went to see Mabel last year. I love Mabel now, man. I think she's so cool, and that's just
her album's on the way.
Yeah, exactly, and that's because I saw her live. You know what I mean? Support the Irish acts. That'd be my one piece of advice for anyone going next year. Very, very important, especially with all the talent that we have. It's important to recognise that talent. Research the acts before you go as well.
Yes, that's a big one.
You don't want to be standing in a field and realising that you only know the one song that everyone knows. Like it's just worth your while. Like if that's what you're into, go ahead, do it. But for me, what I really liked doing was getting to know a song really well before I went and see it, and then like you hear that song being played on stage, being sung by that artist that has been in your ears, in your earphones for the past few months. It's a really great feeling. And then do what I do every year, like the mammy of the group that I am, and schedule your weekends to a T so that you have time to go see every single act that you want to see. I take the music part of festivals very seriously. I know there's people who go to a festival to drink, they go to a festival to maybe just chill with their mates, whatever it is.
I fully agree.
I take the music part of the festival very, very seriously, and it's probably, strangely enough, my favourite part of the music festival is the music. So I make sure to plan it out to ensure that I see everyone I want to see.
And it's really worth taking an hour, go through the entire lineup poster, and just look them up on Spotify and listen to a few snippets of songs, because you will find people that you like that you had never heard of.
Chuck the top 5 songs from each artist into a playlist, and then just listen to that playlist for the rest of the week. Like that's what I did.
think Longitude make a playlist as well.
Yeah, Longitude do make a playlist. Like that's how I discovered like how much I really liked Flowio, because I didn't actually like her all that much until I saw her on the poster, went, okay, I'll add her songs to the playlist. And then when I was listening to the playlist, she's the artist that stood out to me the most, and she ended up being one of my favourite acts from the weekend, 100%.
Yeah, and it's exactly how I discovered Mo when I went to see Longitude. I had just started listening to her, and because she was playing live, I started listening more, was blown away live, and now the live experience is intertwined so much in why I'm a fan.
Yeah,
because there's people I've loved their music for ages and I've never seen them live.
Yeah. It's such a rewarding thing as well to prioritise going and see an act that you've waited to see for years. Like for me last year, it was a really like emotional experience to see J. Cole live in the flesh and be like 50 metres away from him after listening to him since I was literally like 12, 13 years old. You know what I mean? Like that's a really rewarding thing to do. So yeah, make sure you get to do that at one point as well. That's pretty fun. It's a pretty great experience.
I feel like that can be a double-edged sword though, because like sometimes as well you could have your favourite artist, seeing them live could make you love them more, it could be the greatest thing ever. But then sometimes if their performance isn't great, you could be like, oh, I don't really like listening to them anymore. Like, that's one of the reasons why I really love Jessica Lynn and I'd love to see her live, but everyone says she's awful live, so I'm like, okay, I kind of don't want to ever go to a concert from her.
But to be fair, she's had a bit of an issue for the last few months with her vocals and stuff like that. We won't get into that because we've run up a large amount of time at this stage. So I suppose thanks for sitting, thanks for enjoying Longitude.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rory.
go to Longitude next year.